Hello, sorry about that. We were having some technical difficulties, but we figured it out. We should be starting in about, I would say, 3 to 4 minutes.
Something on your computer? It's just,
So our most agenda is going to be brief. Oh, I got to do it over there. This dude got it. Yeah. Our agenda this month is going to be brief. So as opening remarks, we have been able to partner up with schools in the district, high schools in the district, to be able to get a public member who's a high school student. And they will also be earning credits from their schools for the volunteer work that they're going to be doing here at the board. So that's something that I pushed to January to try to make this meeting as brief as possible so we could start the new year with some momentum and just new things that we've been working on for the past few months. So that's going to be a pretty dope innovative way of being able to engage youth as opposed to solely just speaking for youth. Actually, we're going to now have youth who are attending public schools in the community to be able to provide their input and their viewpoints. That's one of the things. The other one that we did was I was in communication with representatives. I believe she's a state assemblywoman, Karine Reyes.
Yeah.
She will be having. I know we've been discussing a bit about the false advertisement of youth, food for youth and repercussions. So that's a legislation that I believe we've been talking amply about. But now we're actually going to have both sponsors attend our meeting next month. I believe it's Senator Bailey and Assemblywoman Reyes next month, and they'll be able to not only provide us a deep dive, but speak on why has this been held up for so long. I believe it passed the Senate, but it hasn't passed the Assembly yet. So see what because I feel like as a committee that is meant for youth and education, we want to make sure that the education youth receive is accurate, and we're not contributing to any sort of systematic misinformation that keeps them unhealthy or just false advertisement. So I think that legislation, what it's going to do is create a precedent where we engage more in the process of being able to provide input into legislation that we feel passionate about, as opposed to just constantly sitting on the sideline, making sure that we not only informing ourselves from the elected representatives who present these legislations, but we actually are active participants by being able to provide our input moving forward. So that's something that we should be starting in January. So I pushed that on to our first meeting in January. Will be that we would have both the senator and the assemblywoman, either from what I understand, they'll be here themselves. They'll be joining us. But you know how it is. We'll accept some representatives if that case may be. But we will have a resolution there ready to be able to support the bill, but also understand where we currently stand. But that's something that I really want to push, which is, and that's why I need folks to, if you're not exempt, to attend the meetings, because we will be identifying legislations and really educating ourselves and being able to provide input, because I feel that's how we do justice to our community, as far as like not solely advocating in the streets, but also looking at what's happening in them chambers. Besides that, I know the holiday party is this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So I look forward to seeing you all there. I look forward to seeing you all there. The reason I know that is because I'm part of the host committee. So I hope everybody could come enjoy themselves. It's been a minute since the whole board could come. Food, some beverages and just building. Yeah, what's up, Tanisha? Yeah, Tanisha, you could unmute yourself. You hear us?
Yes, thank you so much, Domenico. Chair.
Yeah, what's up?
So I just love all of your ideas, especially about uh seeing what's out there as far as legislation and having our community board voice on it. I was just at Somos with Jamal Bailey and heard
Mhm.
about his bill. So excited to have him on our platform to talk about that. I am double zooming as we speak because I have been on the finance committee hearing all day. As we know, we have these budget cuts that are being proposed for our next fiscal year, and it will definitely affect our youth, our education, and our communities as whole. So I'm for it. Offline, we got to figure out how we can line up people like AQE
That's
and
right.
other elected officials to start out the new year with a bang. You know the number, use it. And the last thing I will say is that we are having important mayoral control hearings in
Mhm.
each borough. I will drop all that information in the chat so everyone has it and they know when the Manhattan one is, so everyone can come and lend their voices to this important issue. Thank you, committee, and thank you, Chair.
Okay. So yeah, so that's one of the conversations that we had with, and I think we're gonna delve deeper into that during committee business, which is I already gave everybody the option of being a chair for a committee meeting. Nobody has done it yet. You know what I'm saying? So that shouldn't be like for me, like at the end of the day, it's just knowing that there's options available, not only to submerge ourselves in growth, but to see how sometimes we assume that this is it could be overwhelming, particularly when we engage in communication with individuals that require certain responses during a certain time period. You might be caught up in your own professional endeavors, but that's besides the point. But what I want to be able to do today is be able to like, I don't want to constantly be reacting. I like how Tanisha spoke about that briefly. It's like there's certain things that happen every year, regardless rain, like shine, snow, which is budget season, legislative season. And in order to be active participants in that, we have to plan, pre-plan accordingly. So that's something that I feel like when we start in January, that the goal is to be able to engage with legislators so we could also provide our inputs besides just having to go up to Albany. We developed a relationship and we do what we can because we are a community board and we could provide recommendations, right? So let's start using it, but we have to do it accordingly. That's all for my opening remarks. Um, and yeah, Tanisha, if you send me the well, you should send it to Ebenezer. He'll be back tomorrow. As far as the mayoral control information, the board should be sending that out to everybody on the list. Uh, we have how many people we have in the committee? Eight. And nine.
7 members and one post.
Oh, okay. So we just need one more person. Because Tanisha's exempt, so she counts for quorum.
Okay.
All right. So we don't have quorum yet, so we'll jump over to community connections. This month we have Rachel from Road, New York. She'll be discussing programming from Road, New York. I don't know if y'all familiar with Road, New York. They do a lot of stuff in the Hudson, and they have a very nice like what they call that, like boathouse by the east side. So if I'm not mistaken, because I was in a presentation in Parks a few years
Isn't there
ago.
one by Dykeman? Like-
Yeah, on the. But Rachel, you there? Mhm. Oh, we can't hear you,
Yes,
Rachel.
yes, sorry, I was just unmuting myself. Is it okay for me to chat now?
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
I was gonna talk for about 3 to 5 minutes. Does that work for you all?
That's perfect.
Okay, great. So we didn't specify beforehand, so I just wanted to double check. So cut
So
me off
this is
if I start talking
this
too much.
is just so I could be able. So we were in communication. So one of the things we also want to do is be able to start developing connections with the program stakeholders in our community. You know, and Rachel was going through some stuff she needed support with, and as we supported, we were like, you know what, Rachel, come by our meeting and just let us know who Road New York is and what they're currently doing and the students they're serving.
Fantastic. So I'm really glad to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. I usually go to the parks meeting for the community board, so I'm delighted to come to this meeting instead this month, or in addition to the parks meeting as well. So Row New York, we've been around for 20 years altogether. We serve students in Queens at Flushing Meadow Corona Park, and in Upper Manhattan, Inwood, Washington Heights. Our facility in Washington Heights is right near PS5 we're on the Harlem River. You may have seen our floating boathouse that is in a bit of disrepair, and we're expecting to break ground at a new boathouse early 2024. But we are still rowing out of the same location, which is we're just not using the boathouse all that much. We're mostly just using the dock. But things to know about in terms of that's our location. Things to know about our program is our primary program is a youth program that serves students in grades 8 through 12. And the basic gist behind Row New York is we exist to make the sport of rowing more accessible and inclusive. That traditionally the sport has been for rich white people and has not been accessible and inclusive to all members of communities in any community. And Row New York exists to change that. So in Queens, we have programs for veterans and students and adults with disabilities. In Manhattan, our facility is better set up for young people. So we serve students in 8 through 12, and our main program is pretty intensive. What we want to do in rowing is to use the sport of rowing to both support and challenge young people, while also building their academic and social emotional skills to help them complete high school and college. So how we do that is we start working with young people in 8th grade. We teach them how to row. We teach them how to swim, because most of our young people don't come to us knowing how to swim. So we provide swim lessons. And then in 9th grade, they decide whether they want to be part of our competitive program or our intermediate program. And the competitive program is pretty intense. It's 5 days a week of rowing, most seasons of the year. And then we also have at least one day of what we call our student support and success activities. The student support and success activities are based around skills that'll help young people succeed in high school and college. So that's health and wellness, that's college prep, college access, career readiness. That's also communication skills, some social justice issues. Students really told us what they wanted to be learning that would help them out academically and socially in high school, and we designed a curriculum around that. We also work with academic skills for what students need to be successful. We provide soup to nuts college access. We have a college advisor who helps students identify schools, apply to schools, financial aid, scholarships, college trips, absolutely everything you can think of. And then in the last couple of years, we actually added a college success program. So students get a mentor from Row New York who's in college, and that mentor helps them, guides them through the transition to college and what their life is like in college, because there's lots of stuff that is really new, especially for first generation college students that they haven't experienced before. And it's great to have somebody their age to ask and to help them navigate college. We have learned that students don't necessarily want to talk to adults about things that they're experiencing in college. They sometimes would rather talk to an experienced peer. On the rowing side, we teach young people how to row in addition to how to swim. It's a really demanding sport. Cardiovascularly, it's really, really intensive. It's also quite intensive if you haven't seen it. I didn't really know this until I got to Row New York. It's also quite requires a lot of mental toughness and teamwork. So we think it's a really great sport for young people to learn, to transfer those skills into the rest of their lives. Some of our students choose to row in college. Some of our students get scholarships for rowing in college, but the most important thing is that they're using the skills that they're learning and rowing towards the rest of their lives in and out of the classroom. In terms of what we do have a couple other offerings for the community. We're just starting, and with our new boathouse, we'll do more of, but we do have a few learn to row, community learn to rows a year. They're mostly in the summer when the weather's better. I'll come back and when we get closer to those and make sure everybody knows about those. But that's for anybody in the community to come to our boathouse on a Saturday, usually Saturday morning, and get in a boat and learn to row. We have life jackets for those who don't know how to swim. And the other thing, the couple of reasons why I wanted to come today is we're looking for more 8th grade partners. We're looking for more ways to partner with middle schools. So if you know a middle school or a connection to a middle school that we should be getting in contact with, please let me know. And the other thing, and we're always looking for high schools. I think we do a decent job with high schools in the neighborhood, but we don't have a connection with every single one. So if there's a high school that you think we would be where students would be interested, I'd be happy to talk about that as well. But we also have summer camp and summer activities. So as I just explained, Row New York to join for us in the year, it's really intensive. It's a really intensive sport, but one thing that really any young person can get involved in is our summer camp. And that is 2 weeks just in the morning. And we teach young people how to row. That program, all of our programming is free of charge for families who earn less than $100,000. So that's a whole lot of families, including the camps. We have a lot of spots for students that are free. For families that are earning more than that, as the neighborhood gets gentrified, we do charge a fee. But we never turn anyone away for their ability to pay. And we have a limit on the number of people who can pay. There's never any more than 30% of paying students in our program. We want to make sure it's open and there's spots open for young people in the community, because that's what we're primarily here for. I think that's probably the gist. Domingo and I started speaking because we've really had a fantastic relationship with PS5, but they're having some challenges with their security hours. So we may need a gym space for the next couple months besides PS5. So if anyone knows anywhere that we can train inside, we'd be looking for that as well. But that's the whole story. I'll put my email, our website, and our email in the chat. I don't know if everyone can see it or just the host and the panelists. But let me do that, and
chat.
then everyone else can see. So I'm at, I'll just tell you, I'm at rcitron, which is RCYTRON at rownewyork.org. And our website is really easy, just rownewyork.org. And would you like me to take any questions? I don't know what the whole agenda is. I don't want to open it up to questions if you don't have time.
Sure.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for just sharing all this wonderful information with us. You mentioned that the summer program was 2 weeks. Is that consecutive? Does that happen several times over the summer? Or is
Yes,
it
great question. So we start right at the beginning of the summer, and we run we'll probably run 3 or 4 sessions. We haven't figured out the calendar yet. 3 or 4 sessions of 2 weeks at a time. So it usually takes a couple hours. It's a kind of a draining sport, so you don't really like to do it so many hours in a day. So every camp is only 2 hours a day, but it runs for 2 weeks so that you can really get, really by the end of the 2 weeks, really feel like you've learned how to row. So that's how that works. And yes, then there are multiple sessions. We'll probably start having that on our website probably mid-January. And the other thing, if you're affiliated with a school or with a program, so for example, we had the YMHA come out last summer, and we just did a program just for them. So if you're affiliated with any kind of youth program, we sometimes have some spots just to, do an afternoon learn to row with just one program. I can't guarantee we can do that, but if you have, you know, a Boy Scout troop or what have you, if you have some young people that you think might want to try this just to try something new, we might be able to accommodate you. But for sure, if you're affiliated with a school and you want your whole school to come, you know, you want 10 kids from your school to come to the camp, we might be able to work that out too. So let me know, you know, if there's any particular ways that would be helpful to accommodate folks that you know.
What about partnership with a nonprofit? It's Rowan and YC looking to partner with nonprofits as well, or it's just only schools?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
He
I'm having trouble
basically
with the
said,
audio.
you hear us? You hear us good?
I can hear you better for some reason. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a mic issue.
Audio.
Yeah.
Well,
He just wanted to know, what's the process for partnerships with nonprofits that provide, or is it solely schools?
Oh, sure. Well, the just with you can connect with me and we can figure something out. But the reason we're looking for schools is to join our youth program. There's so many hours in our program because rowing is just like a really repetitive thing. So we don't typically have long-term partnerships with youth programs because it's hard for kids to be in both programs. So we don't want to start a partnership with a youth program and then have kids leave that program to join ours. So typically we partner with schools where there's a lot of kids that don't have a go-to activity yet. But if you have a middle school program that's a nonprofit, that's a great partner for us because then as kids leave your middle school program, maybe they'll want to join us. We're just really sensitive to because there's so many hours involved in rowing, we don't want to dissuade a student from leaving, or we don't want to encourage a student from leaving their high school activity.
Yeah.
how about community swimming lessons? Is that
Community-
something?
Community swimming lessons.
Well, that we don't actually run activities. We don't actually run the community swimming. I'd love it if we do. We basically have to find a place that's doing community that'll give us swimming lessons, and we have to pay them to give us lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll incorporate into the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I would love to do community swim lessons because it's a huge need.
And there's a state-of-the-art Olympic-sized pool being built in George Washington High School.
Yeah, that's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be a huge.
I don't know them. That's cool.
Because I have programming.
No, that's nice.
So Rachel, thank you so. Is there any questions from the public before we move on? Yeah, Rachel. So what I'll do is I saw your text, so I'll do both of that.
Great.
On top of I'll introduce you to a middle school who's always looking for like ways of they're heavy on maintaining their kids active. So I think you'll really appreciate I'll connect.
That'd be tremendous. And thanks for all of your time today. And I hope to be back. We are also on the verge of hiring a new person to run our academic programming.
Okay.
So we have some finalists. So when that person comes on board, I'll have them come and introduce themselves.
Cool. And another good thing, Rachel, is I don't know if you're familiar with what they're doing in the Dyckman Marina. Oh, yeah, well, it's the Dyckman, it's not La Marina, it's the Dyckman Marina. They have these programs now where they're looking for partnerships to get the kids on the water, whether it's through an actual like boat tour and I guess they get to drive the boat. I don't know if you were familiar with it because he came to present it last month.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar in general with the canoe club.
It's not canoeing though. It's more like marina maintenance. And they're seeking out partners to be able to teach the kids like how to maintain the marina. What are some other like getting on boats as far
cool. All right, I should check that out.
They're not necessarily leading it. They're more working in collaboration with, so you can have access to that space. You could do programming from the space and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we need to stay on the Harlem River just because the current on the Hudson is a little too much for us.
Yeah.
The current on the Harlem isn't so easy either, I have to say. But the Hudson is most days the Hudson is too much. So we stay on the Harlem River.
So there's also a Hudson River community sailing there.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Rachel.
you, Rachel.
Thank you.
So that is our community connection for the day. So if you're interested in coming and presenting a bit more thoroughly, just reach out, send us an email and we'll plan accordingly. I know we have a pretty busy agenda for the next 3-4 months. So just be patient with us. And now we're going into committee business. Give me 1 second. So we're going into committee business. And part of the agenda for that is, so I spoke briefly about that legislative approach. So one of the things that we're going to be incorporating in January is just that. So meaning we don't want legislators to just come and, hey, this is what we're doing, blah. Like we want to be able to say like, all right, cool. Identify some priorities, which we could do in January. And I think Tanisha, I don't want to throw you out there, but we can have Tanisha vet some of the legislation that is more urgent. You know what I'm saying? That requires us to do a little bit of typing, which it shouldn't be a problem, but let's start getting involved in being more active around providing our input when it comes to certain bills that we feel is beneficial to our community. Because part of the disconnect that I see is while we're here as a recommendation body, our recommendations are very reactionary when it comes to, oh, something happened, we react, as opposed to being a little bit more strategic and really determining like, all right, cool. So we know there's going to be a budget cut most likely than not every year. Let's make sure that we try to build up to like, okay, cool, but this has been our priority for this past year. And yet, you know what I'm saying? Which gives us the ability to engage in a dialogue around this board has been initiating in this particular area, and it's not beneficial for the community if we're representing the community at the board level to be able to do that. And I think it gives us a little bit more power to our to the rhetoric that we're going to be engaged and the advocacy as well. Questions? Tanisha, what you think about that? She's there? Oh, she's in another Zoom. Yeah, so that what? But it was just something around something big. So that's probably a modification that is going to happen to the agenda starting next month, which is just being able to part of the elected official updates, having like community board legislative priorities so that we can engage in the elected officials. That's why I haven't necessarily been, I'm gonna be very truthful, I haven't necessarily been inviting them because we get the same report that we could read on a newsletter as opposed to engaging in dialogue around, but as people, as voters, this is what we're pushing for as well. So I think the dynamic changes when we go from a much more different angle. So that's part of the one of the changes is going to happen there. And we get to see the what a temp check, you know, what's happening in Albany, what's happening in the city, you know. So that's all I have for committee business today. Today was going to be a brief meeting. This is our last meeting of the year. It's been a tough year. This is my
First year.
well, no, this is my like third month chairing this committee. So
Not even a year.
so I think like I hope y'all get a feel to like what my style is. I don't want to necessarily like impose anything on y'all. I just want y'all to be able to feel that y'all in a safe space to be able to engage on not only what you're passionate about, but also like
Very bold.
but also you gotta lower the volume. Yeah. But also like being able to put yourselves in a position where y'all could take over these committees, like part of the benefit of being in the board is also having aspirations to be able to run your own agenda, run your own meetings and direct it towards a way that y'all feel is beneficial not only to the community, but to something that you seek to accomplish. And I think that's important. That's why I hope one of y'all chairs a meeting next year. It's not that difficult, just a lot of planning, but it's not that difficult. Like I'll tell you right now, for the next 4 months, we have somebody coming in every month for a particular area. So besides that, any feedback, any area that we should improve?
Well, I would like to start a resolution.
Mhm.
Well, this resolution, I started with this idea, but in a way I was like turned down because it's about the swimming programs for adults, like to raise the age for youth adults.
Okay, but
Like especially our community, the Hispanic community, Hispanic and Black community. Most of us, we don't know how to swim. I don't know how to swim.
streaming.
So swimming.
Oh,
swimming
swim.
lessons.
Okay.
So I think we should introduce a resolution to raise the age or to I have to educate myself more on what resources our community has.
Okay.
I know that their YMCA, the Y has a program for the, but I don't.
The only place I knew had a program was George Washington, and then the pool had a crack and they went under construction.
There's a program in the Bronx where I took swimming lessons. There's a community, it's right across the bridge on University. I mean, it's not here in our neighborhood, but.
But it's like bringing swimming lessons to our, like, follow up with, I know the second pool at the George Washington is getting renovated, but.
So
that will be like.
That's a meeting you have to chair. So we could get DYCD over here.
Okay.
DYCD is tasked with a lot of the youth programming, and we have to probably get like folks a community pool.
Other
yes.
communities, they have a strong like.
I agree. And like those are outdoors, so it's going to be tough for it to be year round. But I think there's a lot of potential with what's going on in George Washington High School and being able to use that as potentially a place. Riverbank has
What
indoors.
about High Bridge?
Those are outdoors, so it can happen throughout the whole season. Yeah. What they were saying was like converting that into an ice rink, but those conversations really, yeah. So I got you for that. Figure out a month. I'll support you in being able to put you in contact with DYCD and potentially somebody from. We'll identify who are the stakeholders for that. But there's a lot of people who've been talking about swim, and I think it aligns with what you said, like how this community doesn't necessarily.
So I would like to for
February?
Yep.
Okay.
So I can start now.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Y después yo te ayudo. I'll help you, Louis, in identifying the people. Just see me, and if anything, we'll CC the board, and I'll support you in that. So we got.
I have a question just on this. When you were talking about raising the age, can you give an example, like to what?
They are swimming. I know that there are swimming lessons for young people, let's say high school age. but there is only limited to
He's just basically saying like
18.
making it accessible to people from the community.
making it
to be able-
accessible to
Yeah.
adults,
Yeah.
making
You know what I'm saying?
more.
No, I get it. I just was wondering because if it's certain programs, like we can't change people's like
Exactly.
programs unless it's a city program,
Yeah.
then I could see like a resolution there, but I was just in
But
my
we-
head trying to navigate, like, how would we go about like doing that for some programs? I think it's a great idea, by the way. Unless you know, most adults, they would have to pay and a lot of people don't have the resources to
Yeah,
pay.
exactly.
For example, my mom had to pay and she had to
Yeah.
go to somewhere in the Bronx to try to like learn. But I don't know, if we had any city agencies or anything
Mhm.
like that that were like funded by the city that we can.
It will be a
Request-
free community swimming list.
Yeah.
Like, how can we bring that program to our community?
Yeah. Makes sense. So for that.
But like I said, I have to
Mhm.
do more research
Mhm.
about what resources do we have and how can we make it more accessible, and how can we advertise it, because a lot of people they don't
Yeah.
know where they are,
And
and
usually George Washington has been in construction for like X amount of years,
that's
so
another thing.
the pool has it. Like I know for sure that when I went to that school, you were able to be licensed as a lifeguard. If you attended that program in the morning, you got your license and you could work as a lifeguard. But as far as like community, I think that's something that could be looked into for sure. So, yeah,
I'm just guys not doing my research.
you too, Paola. What you got in mind?
I don't have anything to add.
No, Carmen, hold up. Yeah,
Can you, would you mind in the meantime adding me as a panelist, you know how? So that I can see the
does-
chat.
Go to participate.
I did, but I can do it from there.
it doesn't even. Oh yeah, I see. Multiply.
Yep, I see it, thank you.
You got it?
Yep.
Pues sí, Carmen. I thought Paola was. Oh no, Paola left the laptop here.
Oh,
I'm like, because I was hoping Paola would have been able to give us some like, because I'm sure this is nothing new, because I know for like some of the kids that I know go to Lehman College to
Yeah,
be able to do swimming. You know what I'm saying? So I've never heard of like swimming programs like that over here, which is a good conversation to be had. Kingma. All right. Tanisha, you there? All right.
I'm here.
All right.
All right.
Just some feedback, Tanisha, on just areas you see that we need to step up on, and like what do you feel like this is our last meeting of the year, so for me this is my third meeting chairing it, so I'm not, you know what I'm saying, like, so yeah, what would you suggest and what do you think we should tackle next year?
I'm on the lines of you, what you said. I'm in fully support. Like I said, like, I know Domingo, so like, if I run a meeting, it'll be way down the line because, I feel like I really need to let other people get an opportunity because this is what I do all day long. For real. That's how I feel. But
Yeah.
I feel where I can be most impactful is bringing different organizations on to our community board to speak about different things. Some youth organizations, so we can figure out, what the youth want, how the youth are doing, some education organizations, some organizations that, can inform us about mayoral control and what that is. So I see our year being, more information for the community with, grassroots organizers, maybe not necessarily in our neighborhood, but in the city that are doing great work citywide. I think that we need to talk about D75 and, you know, our special education schools, you know, our special education students, and, you know, how can we be effective in, you know, guiding them to resources. I think that we should include NYC on here. Include NYC is a wonderful organization, a community-based organization in the city that do a lot around, you know, advocacy for, you know, parents and support with parents who have children, you know, who learn differently, because we need that. You know, a lot of our parents, we just don't have the resources. So I think I see us, you know, being that community board, you know, with our youth education committee that can kind of, you know, guide people to resources that we know of ourselves. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, and what I got a question for you though, Tanisha. As far as what would you say is an area that because there's always an area to improve, you know what I mean? Like, what would you say is an area we need to improve on?
I mean, I don't know. It's too early to call it for me. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I just got here, you know? So
My third meeting. This is what I was telling them. This is my third meeting as chair of this committee. So I'm still trying to figure it out too.
Yeah, I feel like we're learning as we go. And, you know, by the time, you know, we get deep into next year, we should be fine. But I think that we're all going through a learning stage and trying to learn with each other. And I'm just hoping that, you know, in January, it's been a lot going on, and, you know, December and the holidays and all of that. So I'm hoping that, you know, for other committee members, you know, will be able to like buckle down in January, and then we can revisit this point.
Perfect. So with that being said, we're gonna move on, and this is something, and Noemi, I don't want to put you on the spotlight, but this is something that I'm actually gonna make a standing item in the agenda, which is CEC updates. I was able to present to CEC last month, and on the importance of being able to develop an ecosystem where there's communication on every advocacy wave in the community, you know, because one thing is for us to advocate for one thing, then CEC is advocating for something similar. As long as we are able to come together and really unite, there's always power in unity, you know what I'm saying? As cliche as it sounds, but there's a lot of reality to it, because once folks start seeing that, oh, you can't divide the community board's voice from this advocacy group's voice, I think there's a lot of strength to that. So Noemi, if you want to do some updates, and that's something that I want to talk to Louis about too, we could do something where we get somebody from the board to do updates in the CEC, and then we get somebody from the CEC to do updates on the board. I think that should develop a good communication line between us. The CEC stands for the Community Educational Council, so they deal directly more with, they're appointed to deal directly more with the district, you know, and the educational needs of the community, which is, and this situation is District 6. So as far as like when we engage D75, there are some District 75 schools within the district as well. I think it's important for all of us to be in line with what we're asking for, because I guarantee you there's a lot of commonality in all of it. Noemi.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for the opportunity to update and stay connected. One of the things I want to bring up is our next meeting for next year. I know since it's your last meeting, we want to make notice that January 18th, we are going to be meeting, and we invite everyone within the community to participate. We're now working on making sure that virtually we're also connected, and we're allowing people to just have an open platform to voice their concerns. So within this last month, we are trying to collect any school authority construction work orders that need to be submitted, and basically all of the liaisons for all the schools are making sure that the superintendent gets a notice of the schools that need some type of fixture. So our next step is to follow up and kind of categorize the schools based on the needs. So if there's a school that has a need, please bring it to our awareness. Our email is cec6@schools.nyc.gov. And please make us aware of that. We can then send the liaison to make a report, and then we can unite together to make sure that these schools get addressed within our districts. And besides that, George Washington's school media and communication is having a community resource fair this upcoming Saturday, December 16. It is open to the community, and they will be having donations and giveaways this upcoming Saturday. And that's all. Thank you.
Normy, can you please put the email again in
On
the
the
chat?
chat?
Sure, definitely. I'll drop it in there. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
Noemi, moving forward, our next meeting in January is, I'll tell you right now,
It should be January 8th,
January, the second Wednesday, right?
Wednesday. Oh, we're switching it?
Oh, no, Monday, I'm sorry.
January 8th, yeah.
Yeah, so our next meeting is January 8th. And Noemi, next month, we're gonna have, we've been speaking about it a lot, but we're gonna have the legislators behind the bill of false advertisement of healthy foods to youth. So we're gonna have the state senator and the state assemblywoman presenting on that. What's the holdup and what this bill means for our community. The follow-up one is going to be, because I'm thinking of adding a health component to this, is the sugar tax. So there's conversations happening in Albany around our community is so disproportionately impacted by obesity, diabetes, etc., and all the health complications as a result of that. And they're talking about taxing it to be able to go, I'm assuming, into healthcare. But we'll bring in that state senator to speak on the bill afterwards. And that's why I say this is the importance of us not only educating ourselves, but educating our community on actual bills and legislation that can impact their life. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, for me, while I'm chair of this committee, that's the angle I'll be taking. It's not only about solely advocating on what's currently happening, but how can we jump the curve and be like, yo, look, you know what? This is impacting our community disproportionately. Somebody has to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you saying this is healthy, and then a few years later that kid suffers from some sort of health issue, nobody's responsible, but yet you literally molded that kid into believing this, and you know what I'm saying? So I think that's part of the logic behind that. So Noemi, on the 8th, I look forward to and I'll send out a formal invitation to you and Lewis to see, and I'm willing to even co-chair that situation there, co-chair that item with the CC. Tanisha.
I just wanted clarity. So the tax on sugar would be to the people making the bad stuff with sugar, right?
Correct.
Okay.
This is, remember, I'm a people person, so I'm never gonna put the taxes of corporate responsibility, right? Because if you know you're selling something that's hurting people and disproportionately hurting a certain group of people, you should be held accountable for that. You know what I'm saying? So
I think that also leads, I'm sorry, Domingo, but that also leads to, the fact that we have to travel upside our neighborhoods to get like good food, right? Like good food is really not marketed in our neighborhoods. Like I went to Puerto Rico and gained 10 pounds, but that's not here or there. But my thing is we eat a lot of rice and beans. We, not that these things aren't good, but like when you go to the supermarket, even like in like the fruit that they have there, like it all looks so nasty, like you don't want to eat it. So I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking maybe that's something we could do, a resolution for like the youth to have like good, and like the elders, but that's the aging committee. But like we really don't have like really top-notch food in our community. So
I completely agree, and that's part of the reason why we might not necessarily, and this is the quote from Tupac, we might not necessarily change the world, but we might spark the mind that does. And I think this is what we should be doing. That's like our civic responsibility when we engage in spaces like these. You know what I'm saying? So, Noemi, so you heard that around the 8th?
Well, we actually have our calendar meet another business meeting that day. But would there be a way that we can kind of
Virtual.
tune in and connect to you guys while in our meeting?
It's only 20 minutes from that's gonna be our legislative update that month. That's where we're gonna do our community. It should only take about 20 minutes.
And that's gonna be what time you said? From what
7 p.m.
time to
January, I would
that
say
works.
7:30 to 7:50. We should wrap it up by then. It's two legislators, so you know people usually want to engage in dialogue and you know what I'm saying. So it might take a little bit more, but it's that time frame should be it.
Okay, and then
Just to be clear, this is not about the sugar. I just went ahead of myself because I was talking to a staffer that was telling me about the different legislation happening in Albany at the moment. But this is more about the false advertisement of corporations to individuals on, like, for instance, healthy food being advertised as healthy and it's the complete opposite. So false advertisement, basically.
cool. I also wanted to give notice of one last project that the Youth Leadership Council is working on.
Okay.
So right before they closed the People's Money project, I believe it's called, the students came up with ideas for proposals. So the proposals were submitted, so now they're on the developing stage. Out of the 6 proposals that they submitted, 5 of them are now moving forward. And ideally, we would do a campaign to reach out within the community so they're aware and they can go and vote once it becomes once it hits the floor, if it takes fruition, correct? So just to give people a heads up, or if they see the names to support these proposals that would benefit our youth. So there's one called the Tech Literacy Workshop for Underserved Communities, Youth Entrepreneurship Development Program, Financial Literacy Workshop for elementary students, Weekend Programming Enrichment for District 6 schools in Washington Heights. And the last one was the community.
Could you just put the 5 topics, Noemi, in the chat?
Or just
okay, perfect. I'll drop the 5. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
And count on us, Noemi. We'll also, once the link is out, send it to the you know how to email. You got Ebenezer's email?
No, I don't think so.
I'll text it to you. Just text it, and he'll send it out to the listserv because we have a lot of people in our listserv.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Where can we find more information about what the proposals were? Like, I know you gave us the titles and what they were, but how can we find like detailed information? Is that available to the public?
Yeah, so the links that I'm dropping in would be the actual proposal that was submitted with all the details that we put together.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank
you. With that being said, we're at the the semifinal stage of this meeting, which is any community-based organizations, any announcements that need to be made. This is the time to do it. If you raise your hand, I'll be able to. Okay. Go ahead, Tanisha.
Yeah, just again, I wanna, I put it in the chat, but I will put it in the chat again. And I'll send it to the community board. But again, we're having, this New York State, is having mayoral, control forums for the public to come and speak about if they think mayoral control of our public schools has been a good thing or a bad thing. Regardless of how you feel, it's important to come and lend your voice. They had the one in the Bronx already. The next one, the upcoming ones, will be in the chat, the different dates on when they will be, and keep watching the page to see when registration will open. There will be one in Manhattan, there will be one on Staten Island, one in Brooklyn, and one in Queens, and hope to see, hope that we can all come out here, because mayor control over our education system is a big thing. And we need to find a system that really works for our children. Thanks.
Okay. Gotcha, Tanisha. Next up, we have Marina Martinez.
Hi, good evening. I'm Marina Martinez, Community Engagement Specialist from Literacy Inc. And I've been coming to this meeting for a while.
Yeah.
So I just want to announce that this Thursday at 11 o'clock at the Ring Garden, right here in Dyckman, we're going to have the program. We're going to have a read aloud at the Ring Garden for parents with children 0 to 5. And also we're having another read aloud in McDonald's, in 2A Diamond. Inside the McDonald's, we've been having a few read aloud that they allow us to use the space. So this is going to be January 5th at 11 o'clock as well. So that's just for parents with children 0 to 5 as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Maria.
The first one is at Ring Garden on Thursday at 11, and the
Yeah.
second one was January 5th at 11. At what McDonald's?
McDonald's 2A Diamond.
Oh, 208 and what?
Diamond, the one that is in the corner
Oh,
right here by
Broadway.
yeah.
The one on Dyckman.
2A Diamond, yeah.
Yeah. Gracias, Marina.
Thank you.
I'm going to.
Oh, yeah, and there's also a meeting if you don't know what mayoral control is, I will drop another, one of our community partners, the ECC. It's kind of like the CEC, but you don't have to be a CEC member to join. They're having a teaching on what mayoral control is this Friday. So if you can sign up for that, that would be great as well.
Is that one virtual, Tanisha? Or is it in person?
Virtual.
Perfect. All right. I'll be there.
Marina, can we ask Marina about the age range?
Marina, the age range for the events.
The age range is 0 to 5 because our program work with parents with children 0 to 5 years old.
Okay,
And
gracias.
parents, they need to be present. So it's not the parents coming without the children they need to be present as well.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? So we're about to conclude our last meeting of the year. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Carmen for stepping up and supporting us with the minutes.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. It doesn't go unseen, I appreciate you all. It's gonna be a fun year, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could be a bit overwhelming sometimes, but let me know when it's like, yo, D, you wildin' right now, like it's too much, but like my biggest thing is if we're gonna do this, let's not beat around the bush, just having conversations here. Let's really look at what legislation is out there, put our energy on getting stuff that gets stuff done. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal for next year. I want to thank everybody who participates in all of our meetings. If you're available in Amores this Friday, we will be having our Community Board 12 holiday party. You're welcome to come. I know Kathy has been sending a link out, so if you contact Ebenezer tomorrow, he'll send you the RSVP. But look forward to having everybody participate and supporting small classes. I hear that, Tanisha. I'm a small class lover, and I know teachers would appreciate that.
It's literally the law. It's literally the law now, and they're trying to get out of doing it. It's supposed to be implemented over the next 3 years. So that's something, Domingo, that we can focus on.
Tanisha, like, who do we contact to enforce the
We
law?
contact small class size matters. We get the Leone who been fighting it for years and the leading force of who got this law passed to come and talk to us.
Okay, cool, gotcha. So thank you all. I appreciate you all. And
24.
2024, here we come. I hope to see you at the holiday party on Friday.
Oh, wait, and Domingo, our hearts and prayers go out to all those affected in the Bronx with that building collapse. Okay,
Yes.
like that's another thing we got to fight for. I know this is not the committee,
Yes.
but a lot of us live in very old buildings. And we must push our landlords to make sure that the infrastructure is up to date, because when it is not, this is what happens. So let's all make sure that we keep these people, that are affected in our hearts and prayers and do what we can to support them.
Tanisha, for bringing that up, because you know what? They're quick to charge rent, but they're slow to fix problems in these buildings. So I completely agree with you, Tanisha. Thank you for bringing that up. Our prayers go out to the families affected, and yeah.
They're not saying yet, but we know. If you look at it, I put it in the chat. I put the thing in the chat. But if you look at it, people were hurt in that.
Yes, I know. I saw the one that was like the 6th floor where the bed didn't slide out. But the rest of the floors like slid down. Like, yeah.
People like pancake on top of each other. They just collapsed.
Yeah. But with that being said, we got a year of advocacy in front of us, a year of building coalitions, building unity. I look forward to engaging in this with you all, and hopefully see y'all Friday. Can we get a motion?
We can even.
Motion.
Second. Appreciate you all. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
See y'all Friday.
All right. See you, Tanisha.